Yo, what's up? What's going on? What's good, everybody? That's right. The Boxing Source here checking in on Sunday, August 27th, 2023. That's right. This is the Boxing Source podcast, man, and we are really going to get into it here today, man. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to talk about in reference to what's been going on, what's been going down here in the world of boxing, man. I mean, come on, we got, of course, we had some controversy from yesterday in the heavyweight scene. We had an official announcement of sorts, when it came to the lightweight division. So we're definitely going to be talking about that here as well. And also, if folks wanted to chime in, we might open lines up or something like that. I don't know. It just depends on how quickly we go through these particular topics. But outside of that, we want to just go into all of these topics, and if we have other things that are going down in the sport of boxing. I know that next weekend is pretty much a slow weekend of sorts in the sport, so we really don't have much that's coming up. I think there will be a rematch that is coming down on Saturday, but that's like over in the UK. But outside of that, we really don't have much out there in reference to boxing. But in a sense, we got all of this stuff here that we're going to be talking about here. Shout out to Slide Tendencies in the building. We're definitely going to talk about that here. Let's jump right into it. Of course, we have the unified heavyweight title bout that took place in Poland, man, Warsaw, Poland, or whatever it was, between Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois. Oleksandr Usyk, there, like I said in the preview, both of these fighters were coming in with 20 professional fights. You had Usyk at 20-0, Daniel Dubois at 19-1. And it was something where, we kind of seen with Daniel Dubois, of course, that he had his loss to Joe Joyce, pretty much got stopped by a jab, basically, and we had him just going in there with the WBA regular title. Of course, super champion is there, Oleksandr Usyk, and Oleksandr Usyk came there with huge odds to win this particular fight. And in those first couple of rounds, man, we saw like Oleksandr Usyk, being very, very fundamental, very basic, just throwing the right jab as he is a southpaw, natural southpaw, and that Daniel Dubois really couldn't deal with that that jab and the timing of that jab there. I think with Daniel Dubois, at least for those first couple of rounds, he was, looking to land the right hand, but I just seen him being very slow, and that he, kind of was throwing arm shots there with that right hand, going towards Oleksandr Usyk. So either Usyk was, taking those, or he was blocking them because they were just there right in front of Oleksandr Usyk in order for him to see it. So, I just felt like those first couple of rounds, it was just there where he kind of, it almost like it seemed like it was going through the motions. It looked like it was going to be what I was expecting there from Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois, that Usyk was just going to take his time against Daniel Dubois and pretty much use his movement there to, fluster Dubois. And so that was really what was happening there in those first couple of rounds. And then in the third round, I think for Usyk, he was trying to press the action a little bit, gotten a little bit closer. But when he did, that's when, Daniel Dubois was getting himself back into the fight a little bit. He was landing those right hands, particularly when they were up close, man. You're seeing Daniel Dubois land the right hand up top, when Usyk was coming in. So, it kind of like had him being a little bit more successful there in the third and the fourth round. So, while I wouldn't say that he was kind of getting the momentum back in those two rounds, he was still being a little bit more successful in there as Oleksandr Usyk was trying to get up a little bit closer to Daniel Dubois, whether it was to land his left hand or what. But for me, both of these fighters pretty much had the same reach. So as long as Oleksandr Usyk had the timing down, it was moving over to the side or over to his right side. He really didn't have much to worry about. As in, Daniel Dubois didn't have an answer for that right jab, over the course of the fight. But with Usyk getting in there, getting in close, that's when you saw, Daniel Dubois start landing shots to the body. And of course, we've seen what happened with Oleksandr Usyk in the past, particularly in his 2 fights against Anthony Joshua, that he really responds a little bit badly to shots to the body, right? And so what ended up happening was in the 5th round, Usyk did the same thing that he was doing in those previous couple of rounds. He was, going forward while throwing the right jab and coming up close to Daniel Dubois. So when Daniel Dubois was, getting the timing down of Oleksandr Usyk, he was, throwing pretty much counter shots and threw, a right hand. And then threw a right hand that looked like it was pretty controversial, they say, as it was when it came to where it was landed. And it did hit, where, the name was there for, for Oleksandr Usyk. And Oleksandr Usyk immediately went down to the canvas. And the thing about it was that when he went down to the canvas, initially some people thought that it was something where he ended up getting knocked down. But the referee there, Luis Pabon, immediately ruled it as a low blow, in that, Usyk went down to the canvas. It wasn't ruled a knockdown. It was a low blow, according to Luis Pabon, and Usyk, was down there on the canvas for, a good little while, in that he didn't get up from some time, man. And that, when Pabon pretty much stopped the action, Oleksandr Usyk stayed down there for a little bit. He was just there, just wincing or whatever it was, and then he struggled to get up, get up and use the ropes to pretty much get up. He was walking around a little bit gingerly there or whatnot, and then he walked around and then took a few deep breaths and everything like that. And it was something where the referee there was admonishing Daniel Dubois for as he ruled it a low blow. And then he went over to Oleksandr Usyk and said, "Hey, you got 5 minutes." And for me, this was the thing that threw me, man. Like, I ain't never seen this. I ain't never seen this in a minute, man. Like, come on, man. Like, Oleksandr Usyk, he took his little time to recover or whatever it was, or whatever happened. And then he said, "You know what? I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready." And then the referee, man, he said, "No, man, no, dog. No. Stay there in the corner. Take your time, man. Take your time. You got 5 minutes. Take your time." And Usyk was like, "Hey, I'm ready. I'm ready." And he's like, No. You take your time right there. You take your time. And I was like, what? Yo, that to me, like, blew me, man. I was like, how you gonna have the fighter take the full 5 minutes or whatever it is if the fighter doesn't want it? I'm like, you're supposed to ask the fighter if he's good or whatever it is. If you said he's good, then he's ready to go. He's ready to go. But referee went in there and said, "Hey, you take the full 5 minutes," and then the 5th round resumed and everything like that, right? So when it went through, in 5th round came and went and all that type of stuff, man. And then it just continued with the 6th round, and then for me, the 6th round, it was just like, well, Oleksandr Usyk went back to what he was doing as far as like being a little bit more aggressive, but mixing things around as far as like his movement and his punch placement was concerned. At least for me, if Daniel Dubois knew what he had to do, I thought he should have continued to do that. But one problem was, looked like Oleksandr Usyk was kind of like a graduate of the school of the Vasilomachenko school of complaining. Did I say that? Oops, my bad. But even when you saw like after that fifth round, there were a couple of times when Daniel Dubois did land shots to the body that Oleksandr Usyk was, letting the referee know, oh, this thing hit by my leg or hit here or hit there. So I was like, man, that was just something wild that I had seen. But outside of that too, right? Like having a fight where it was at in Poland, they had it in a outdoor venue, and before the fight started, it started to rain out there, and then the rain got worse over the course of the bout, and then the covering that was above the rain, I don't know what they had in there. They probably had like some type of light tarp or something, like how they put over the baseball field or something. Because when that rain was pouring down, it got into the rain. So you heard both of these fighters slipping and sliding and all that type of stuff. So when you had the first knockdown that was scored there by Oleksandr Usyk, right? It was off of a combination of punches. But at least to me, man, I felt like Daniel Dubois didn't really have his footing down in that particular instance. So I thought it was mainly from him slipping, the outside of him, really being affected by a number of those shots. So Usyk was able to, score that first knockdown, and I'm like, all right, cool. But you still had it to the point where Daniel Dubois could have really gotten back to in that fight, but I just felt like he didn't really give much of an effort after what happened in that fifth round, and I'll talk about that here a little bit later when it comes to all that. But back into it, you kind of seen where Oleksandr Usyk kind of steps up his game in those middle rounds, and he did that in this particular fight, and that once he got back in there in the ninth round and started to continue to land those jabs, it just ended up being too much for Daniel Dubois. And Daniel Dubois got caught with a stiff right jab in the ninth round that put him down to the canvas. And he was just down there on one knee, man. And the referee, Luis Pabon, was counting and counting and counting. And then he just went up when the count just was like around count 9 or count 10. And Luis Pavone ended up waving about giving a KO victory to Oleksandr Usyk, man. And, Usyk, gets the win. But, for me, there's like two things about this, man. Number one, Luis Pavone, regardless of what the ruling is or whatever it is, he slipped up on that judgment because whether it was a low blow or not, if you viewed it as a knockdown, who knows how Oleksandr Usyk would have reacted if it was a knockdown, But the thing about it is like this is the second time that, at least the second consecutive time, that Oleksandr Usyk has reacted like this to a significant body shot, and it doesn't really count as a knockdown or a standing 8 count or anything like that. So that was one thing. And then the second thing is like, for that referee to do that, to give Oleksandr Usyk extra time, man, that was like ridiculous. Okay, I can understand Frank Warren saying that they could put in a complaint for that. But with it being an IBF, not the IBF, but the WBA mandatory, the mandatory bout. Good luck trying to get a rematch off that. That ain't gonna quite happen, man. But also, I'm gonna get some I'm gonna get some comments there from Daniel Dubois in reference like this. But before I get into that, I want to have my one of my guests join in. The boxing academic is checking in here to talk about that fight between Oleksandr Usyk and Daniel Dubois. Man, what's happening, yo?
Hey, what's going on? How you doing today, JR?
All good, man. Yeah, I watched that fight in its entirety, man. Man, that was to me though. That was kind of like a sloppy fight, though. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what happened in the fifth round, like for them to like go through with that fight and like completely, go through that fight from start to finish like it did, that was kind of weird to me. Given the conditions that were happening out there in Poland, man. Like if it's raining out there and you know the conditions of how the ring is going to be, like you shouldn't even go through with that type of fight. Like you could have had some leg injuries happening in that fight because of how the rain was pouring down and it was getting on the ring, man. But outside of that, man, like what did you think about what happened there in the ring?
So I would say what happened in the ring didn't tell us anything that we didn't already know. Um, Dubois is a professional fighter. However, he has quit in his blood. QUIT, quit. He has quit in his blood. And I mean, it's just when things sort of go against him and the momentum is far from his favor, and he has to either choose to bite down, and in order to bite down, in order to go through with the bite down, he got to take punishment in order to do that. When he faced with that crossroad, you can tell he's in his mind, and he's like, I don't want to do that. Now, we can give him a small pass in that, sure, he had a previous eye injury, and I'm sure that is on his mind. But the fighters who make it to the greatest levels, and the fighters who are able to do special things, they push through even when the cards are not in their favor. Mm-hmm. So that's the first thing we already knew about this fight. The second thing is, as you said, Usyk is very compromised as it relates to body shots. And if he ever fought Tyson Fury would eat that man body up with them long arms. All he literally got to do is just let his arms fall and just bend it a little bit and just swing, and he'll hit him in the body. I mean, Usyk obviously is a good boxer, but between Fury leaning on him and now with him being very compromised to the body, and the thing is, when he fought Chisora hurt him to the body too, but Chisora just couldn't capitalize. Right. Anthony Joshua hurt him to the body. I don't know if it was in both fights, but definitely in that second fight. And Joshua had times of success when he did hurt him to the body. It was one more person that hurt him to the body as well. A fight that he was winning, but one more person hurt him to the body as well. And so if the start of how you beat him past his boxing skills is by going to his body. Oh, something else that we have to give a boxer credit for, and I always say this, look at Usyk and how he responds to a body shot, and look at any regular boxer who responds to body shots on one side, and then on the other side of the coin, look at Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is also compromised to the body. But the thing is, Keith even gave a diatribe of what he's thinking when he gets hit with a body shot. Like, I don't know if you saw it. I'm pretty sure you saw it, but he was like, when he was fighting Pacquiao, he had to take his mouth guard out his mouth so he can get air, and then for him to move around the ring and stuff. Like, Keith Thurman, people underrate him for his will. Like, you could say whatever you will about him, but the man definitely has a strong will, which is evidenced by all these other people getting hit to the body, and Keith Thurman mentally fighting through that. Quite naturally, the ref, I think he was the same ref that was in the Joshua fight when Joshua landed a body shot, I believe, and then he kind of like inserted himself as well too. So
yeah, he was. Holy yo.
Yeah, and he did the exact same thing, gave him time.
Yep, he did.
He inserted himself.
Yep.
So I ain't trying to say nothing, but what I do know is what I've heard is with promoters, well, not with promoters, with judges and refs, if you are brought on these cards and a promoter brings you on and you respond a certain type of way, that decides whether or not you get a call back. So say what you will, I'm not implying anything. All I'm just saying is he was very biased toward Usyk. We all know Usyk was going to win that fight, but, like the knockout was going to happen anyway. Daniel Dubois was going to quit. And so I didn't catch the count. I didn't see if he made it up at 9 or whatever. But obviously, when you're waiting and you deciding whether or not you really want to get up, right? And you know how guys will not get up, sort of like how Ryan Garcia did. Like, right, he down the whole time.
Exactly.
He down the whole time, and then he finally decided to get up at 10.
Yep.
Like, you could get up, but again, you have to give credit to Keith Thurman. I'm not trying to be all up on Keith Thurman nuts and them, but I'm just saying you got to give Keith Thurman credit, because when he has severe pain, he fights through that. Even Errol Spence, you got to give Errol Spence credit, because in an ass whipping, obviously he was defeated, because when somebody beating your ass, is not much silver lining to that. But one thing you can say is the dude is not weak-minded, and he's very strong-willed, even in defeat. And you got to give Deontay Wilder credit for that type of thing too, being faced against a guy who weighs 60 pounds, more than him, and is more skilled than him, weighs more, taller, more, boxing skills and stuff. Facing the guy that's better than you in terms of skills, he still try. So
yeah, he still wants to compete.
He still want to win. Exactly. But yeah, man, I mean, the fight was ended how it should have ended. I do think that obviously the shot was not low. Usyk's pants were high. And even when the shot landed, half of his dang fist was, if you look at the top of his shorts, half of his fist was on skin, and the other half was on the shorts, which the shorts was above his belly button. So it was on the line, but it was on the line clean. Sure, somebody could say, there's some foul play in the hit, but the way that his shorts was up, that was a good shot. But again, you got the ref that's sort of making sure that he's fine. And then, as you said, when he was like, "I'm ready to go," the ref like, "Nah, take your full time."
Right.
I mean, what comes with that. I mean, I already alluded to it.
Mm-hmm.
Usyk is not as invincible as we make him to be. Now, I saw a video from Paulie Malignaggi, and he said that he thinks that part of the reason why the fight was sloppy and or Usyk didn't respond as awesomely is because of the poor ring conditions. And so without him being able to get away and the ring being sloshy or whatever, he was probably more susceptible to the slower footed Dubois when he did land those shots versus, Usyk is able to get in and get out normally. But if you want to beat him, go to the body.
Yeah, exactly, man. Now, I mean, you only had a couple of people saying like he was below the belt or something like that, man. or they had like who was it? Tony Bellew saying that it was below below the belly button or something like that. But outside of that, a number of people, kind of like felt like it was a low blow. He felt like it was there around the belly button, and for that should have like administered an immediate 10 counter as a knockdown, and Dubois would have been able to get that 10-8 round if even if Usyk was able to get up, that would have been like a 10-8 round. And so, Dubois kind of like thought it was a knockdown. He kind of said like, hey, I thought, when he went down, he thought, he was going to get a 10 count, and that he felt like he wasn't going to, get up in time. But he said like, hey, something's not right. Why is he being counted? And he said, hey, referee wasn't counting him. He said it was a low blow. And then Du Bois said, I became disheartened and lost momentum after that, having come back into the fight and try to push it. I was up against it on enemy territory, but I wasn't out of my league. If that was in England, that would be totally different. Now that's speculative, but here's my thing though. How are you going to?
Which part that he wasn't out of his league?
Yeah, like
I'm just messing with you.
But my thing is this, as Floyd Mayweather says, my thing is this. If all that stuff is going on, right, and where to target, you continue to target that. You continue to go up there and like say balls to the wall, go after it. This is your shot to be the unified heavyweight champion. Yo, shout out L-Dub in the building here, man. What's good with your L-Dub boxing? You go in there and you go balls to the wall. You say, hey, man, everybody done told you to go to the body and figure out a way to go to the body. So you mean to tell me that after that particular instance, you don't just go balls to the wall, go right to the body in the 5th round, 6th round, 7th round, or whatever it is? I don't understand that. So, for me,
he tried in the rest of that round though.
Huh?
He tried when the round.
He tried. He tried
resume.
But then like after that, it almost seemed like he just completely ditched that strategy or something like that, and just stood there and just continued to get tagged. You know what I mean? And that's where he ended up getting hit with that flurry. And then one round and going down to the canvas, and then that jab in the 9th round that put him down. And like you said, it was similar to his the thing with Ryan Garcia against Tank Davis, but also the thing with Daniel Dubois against Joe Joyce. But at least with the Joe Joyce part, that was like he was really getting punished in that particular fight. That was like how Errol Spence was beating up on Kell Brook before Kell Brook went down to one knee. But here in this instance, this looked like, Dubois wasn't really quite hurt to me. And for him to just be down on one knee, he was looking right at Pabon while Pabon was administering the count. And then when it got to 10, that's when he got up. And I'm like, come on, man.
This man looked out the ring at his corner as well. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was like, this is for the unified heavyweight championship. At least try to say that, hey, I want to try, once again to see if I can get back to him. But he didn't even want to do that. I was like, come on, man.
This man looked out the ring at his corner too. Before, when he ain't thinking about quitting, he looks at his corner, and he sort of has that look like it's about to happen, sort of, like a little sad dog or something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then you got, what was happening after the fight, and he wants to complain, and Frank Warren was saying that he's going to put in a formal complaint about this and all that type of stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I see that. But the thing about it is, you had a number of rounds to try to get back at Oleksandr Usyk. You know what it takes in order to take him down. Go after it again. regardless of what Luis Pabon had said in the 5th round, if he tries to say it's a low blow once again, then hey, you could really push for a formal protest on that. But like you were saying, academic, this is the second consecutive fight that Luis Pabon was involved in a fight with Oleksandr Usyk, and you see how Oleksandr Usyk was like walking gingerly after Anthony Joshua landed a body shot on him. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Maybe they. I don't know if Alex Krasniak had made a phone call to put in Luis Pabon on there or what. I don't know, man. But this was open opportunity for Daniel Dubois to take advantage and to try to become a unified heavyweight champion, and didn't quite do that. Got another guest coming in here in a bit. Hey, Box Academic, got something before he jumps in?
If Fury or Wilder fight this man, then that referee stays far away. If I'm them.
Yeah, I think Fury will definitely take that into account. Big shout out to this next guest in the building that's been supporting the Boxing Source on here for a good little while. Sly Tendencies is in the building. What's going on, Sly?
What you gonna do, brother? What's going on, man? Yeah, I just saw Hogan on Rogan. But nah.
Well, let me tell you something, Hulkamaniacs. No,
let me tell you something, brother. Yeah, it was crazy. Man, I was I feel like at first when I was watching it live, I was kind of like, yeah, I think that was a low blow, and it was crazy when they interviewed Dubois and they interviewed and Warren was in there. Yeah. They started saying put it up on the screen. When they put it up on the screen and they showed all the angles, I was like, damn, like that is kind of that doesn't look like it's too low. And what I had a memory of, I went back to the Joshua fight where it was similar, where he kind of like he was being real dramatic. And look, it's hard to fake the pain of getting hit in the nuts. At the same time, though, I know that they all have similar rules, the sanctioning bodies, where like one's below the belly button, one's like on the belt line. It's really at the discretion of the ref, but it looks to me like that does look like a low blow to me. Not a low blow, I'm sorry. That looks like a clean shot. I seen people showing edited photos on some Wilder. Look at Fury's gloves. Like they'll edit a photo to make it look way worse, but it definitely looked like it was a clean shot. And people that are getting mad at Warren and all this shit, he's just doing what a promoter does. He's out there defending his guy. And at the same time, though, I can see, Dan Raphael and a couple other guys' points of, look, the guy lost. He lost every round. He got dominated. I don't think he got completely destroyed. I thought Dubois came in there to kill or be killed. But Usyk looked great. And, I'm not really sure if they had a rematch, it would be, I don't think it would kind of be the same thing. So I don't know. So he would
quit again.
Here's my problem, man. It's hard for me to call people that take punches to the head and body. It's hard for me to ever call them a quitter, especially when I don't do it. But I'm not against people having that feeling because, it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck. What I've heard the most from people that have fought in Usyk, like Tony Bellew, other people, AJ, that it's so mentally exhausting to throw punch after punch after punch and hit nothing. And that makes people want to quit just as much as pain does. So
can I say one thing to that?
Yeah, go ahead.
That's probably coming from all mentally weak people. No offense to the professional boxers.
No, I get it. Hey man, we're allowed to have a fucking opinion. I'm not telling anybody they can't. I just think that I don't really know what a rematch would prove. You know, they kept saying, "Oh, we prepared for that one punch," and I was thinking, like, nah. If you came into a fight with somebody who has the resume and pedigree of Usyk, thinking that only one punch would, that's a really dumb idea to me.
Well, not if you're named Wilder.
Well, not if. Well, but that's the difference. You see, Dubois, while he does have power, he doesn't really have, you know, that concussive, that life-altering power that Wilder has, man. And I don't care how good Usyk is. I've always said that Wilder, it's a 50-50 fight because Wilder's going to hit him eventually. I'm telling you right now, he ain't got no Tyson Fury chin. So to me, he would have to have a perfect fight where Wilder missed every punch for 12 rounds straight, and I don't see that happening.
Yeah. So how does Fury and Usyk go?
I got Fury winning that fight. I don't know why there's so many people who think that, oh, Usyk will. Nah, man. Fury doesn't do well against littler guys, but at the same time, the littler guys that Fury fought had like unbelievable speed and decent power, like Steve Cunningham and other guys. I don't see Usyk. He doesn't really have that. He's got good speed, great combination puncher. He's definitely not packing power though. Like,
Right.
You know, that fight, like it looked like he hit Dubois with a jab last night that dropped him, the last knockdown.
Yeah.
So I don't see him doing that to Fury, man. I just don't see it. And I know people, oh, you're a mark for Fury, but it is what it is, man.
Fury is going to maul this guy.
I agree.
Like, it's going to be
man,
Steve Cunningham-esque. It's going to be Steve Cunningham-esque. It'll be better than that, but I'm saying the way that how Steve Cunningham was like just so exhausted. And I guess that's a lot of, I mean, that's kind of what happened to Wilder too. I mean, obviously, Fury is more skilled, but
yeah. But the thing was, Fury was able to get these guys to fight into his fight, in that he kind of also has almost like a jab and grab type of strategy too, because he'll lean on his opponents and try to put his weight on them, and then punch him here, punch him there, figure out where the referee is, and just try to get in and tie up his opponent. So he's going to try to, wear down someone like Oleksandr Usyk and not allow, Usyk to, move around the ring like he does. That's my thing about it. Like, you're going to have to deal with somebody that's, 6 inches taller, that has that type of reach and moves around like almost like an actual cruiserweight. So, that's
Usyk was sucking wind. Usyk was sucking wind at the end of the second Joshua fight. Not the first one. I thought the first one he did a lot better. I thought Joshua did a lot better in the second fight. But The other thing too, like playing devil's advocate, I can't think of a person that Fury's fought who has just as good, if not a better pedigree than he does. Who? Who's he fought who had better footwork, better accolades, speed, etc.? And
I can't see anything on paper where that would
not on paper.
Yeah. So
that's
the only thing.
Now the only thing though, in a number of outlets, a number of fans have talked about, oh, this could possibly happen in sometime early next year, and that Usyk's promoter Alex Krajciak said that he'll do whatever it takes in order to make that fight happen. But at the same time, you have Oleksandr Usyk still as a unified heavyweight champion, which means he still has mandatories out there. And the next one up is the IBF mandatory there, and they're saying like, hey, they want to have that fight. They definitely want to have that fight. So it's like we got to go mandatory after mandatory after mandatory. And Philip Hrgovic says like he definitely wants that fight next. The IBF is basically called for that mandatory. I chopped it up a little bit with Hrgovic's coach, Coach Ronnie Shields. He says that, hey, man,
they're looking
to have that fight next. So for me, in order for that fight between Usyk and Fury to happen, like Usyk will have to try to get this fight in against Filip Hrgović like soon, and I'm talking about like before the end of this year. And
yeah, we're talking in October is what I heard.
Yeah, October, November, man. And the thing about it is Usyk and his team willing to turn around and have another fight that soon? I don't know.
They said what I heard, and I don't have to tell anybody who knows boxing that the IBF is absolutely, they do not. The only person I've ever seen them give a break to on mandatories is Errol Spence.
Right.
But they were doing that though because they were looking at the Crawford fight. The IBF will only bend if there's a unification bout. But I think Fury was real smart because he knew that people are going to look, man, there's a little bit of a method to the madness, I think, because I'd rather fight, if I was Fury, I'd rather fight a Usyk who's coming off a couple of wars, like have a little bit, it could be to his detriment too, because he's been busier. But, I also think people are being hard on Hrgović for the Dempsey-McKean fight. I felt like Dempsey made the fight as ugly as possible, and it was.
I mean, you did have that fight against Dempsey-McKean there, a couple of weeks ago. But also, they kind of criticized Hrgović for his fight against Lei Zhang too.
Yeah, that's true.
And there were a number of people that felt like Zhang should have got the benefit of the victory in that particular fight. But
me too.
Now we see where Lei Zhang is at this point, so we'll see.
Yeah, I heard. Go ahead.
The only thing I say is that now that Usyk is very much he can be compromised to the body. I don't think that bode well for him in a fight with Fury, because I think Fury is smart enough to take advantage of that.
Yeah, Fury. I'll be honest, and I'm not a huge Usyk guy. I think the fight with Fury. I think Wilder, in my opinion, has a better shot at beating him than Fury does. I really believe that, because when's the last time we seen a guy go at Usyk the way Wilder would? I mean, seriously, like just I can't see what it is I can't see a scenario where, and I'm not saying Usyk ain't tough. Don't get it twisted. I watched the Bradis fight, the Marco Huck fight. He's a tough guy. What I mean is, who's came at him with like, I don't give a shit how good your footwork is. Right. But think about it and look at how that fight turned out. I thought Chisora won that shit, but I don't see Wilder, even a compromised, fought Fury that many times. Wilder, I just see him like, I don't give a shit what you do. I'm gonna try to kill you, and I don't think anyone's won at Usyk with that approach. Not even Joshua. Nobody has, in my opinion.
And Dubois didn't really, to really think about it, like Dubois didn't either. He kind of was very tentative, especially in those rounds, in that he really didn't have much success until like those fourth and fifth rounds, and that was pretty much off of him being a counterpuncher of sorts. He wasn't really like going forward at Usyk like that. So when he started to catch Usyk, it was like when he was throwing counters to him and then like going to the body. But him like stepping forward, going to the body and going up and really being aggressive, like he really wasn't like that. He was still being more tentative out there.
My only concern with Wilder facing Usyk is that Wilder, as you said, fighting Fury 2-3 times is more compromised, like cerebrally. Like, I don't think Wilder, his punch resistance is nowhere near what it used to be. I think Wilder get hit with one shot now, and the fact that he got a cracked skull, it affects him.
Well, you got to remember too, before the Fury fights, and this is no knock on Wilder, he was a big time he would fight with a kind of thing where he would take a lot of shots, but he was willing to do it because he knew he could get inside on somebody. He would take a lot of hits, and he's at a point now, I think, where he can't do that, but it's hard to tell off of the Hellenius fight, obviously, because it was only about 30 seconds.
Right. Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know though, man. It's just such a power. I don't think he's ever had to go into a fight where he really had to worry about, damn, this guy might knock my ass out. That's what gives me, a little more pause. But the heavyweight division right now, I know we're not really getting exactly what we want, but there's a lot of options right now. I'm kind of excited to see what happens.
Yeah, there's definitely a number of options out there. You got someone on the chat that says supposedly Usyk versus Hrgovic might end up on the Saudi card versus with AJ versus Wilder if any of that happens. I kind of heard from one guy that is there around Deontay Wilder, and he says that they're getting a couple steps closer to making that fight happen. He say that their end of what they want as far as like that fight, they say that they've signed their end of the offer sheet or whatever it was, and that it's basically on Joshua's side to see if he goes ahead and takes that fight. But that all remains to be seen how that all is going to schedule itself out, work itself out. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see here in these next couple of months how that goes, because they also said that they were trying to work on a 2-fight deal with Joshua and Wilder. So
I heard Joshua spilled the beans on that. That that the Saudis are trying to organize the 4-man tournament.
Yeah, they're trying to organize the tournament, but how that's going to work itself out, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Saudi is the only one; they're like the only ones that would be able to pull it together. With the amount of money that's needed for all of those fighters. You know what I'm saying? So
nobody's got that kind of scratch laying around.
Yeah, nobody.
And you gotta, and I'm not just talking about that. I mean, we're talking about management being paid, promotion, like all that stuff. Nobody's got that kind of money laying around.
Yeah, but here's the other thing too. If they were trying to do that doubleheader, like who would be able to cover it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
who
that's true.
Broadcast it.
Well, and it makes sense now too why Wilder he didn't necessarily get away from it. He didn't leave PBC entirely, but he's still being advised. But that makes a little bit more sense now why he went over to him.
Yeah, and I think it was what was it? Oleksandr Usyk signed with some group in Saudi too. So that was the other thing that they were talking about, was that he signed with the group that's over there. So I don't know, man. Oh, the skill. What is it?
Skills challenge. Yeah. I remember Joe talking about that, and that I heard from what's his name, Frank Warren, that's why Fury. That's why the negotiations stopped, because they said, "Oh, we're going to go with skills challenge," and because Fury, it's not that Fury. Something about he didn't want he was going to go through Prince Khalid or something, and I don't think Prince Khalid is with Skills Challenge.
Well, I mean the reports were coming out that at least from the past couple of months was that you had Usyk that signed with the Skill Challenge Promotions, and also Deontay Wilder signed with Skills Challenge or Skill Challenge Promotions there for Saudi Arabia. So. So that is where they kind of are trying to work towards having that deal to have those fights take place over in Saudi Arabia. But I don't know if like Joshua or Fury would also have to sign with Skill Challenge Promotions as well in order for that to take place. But
I can almost guarantee they don't want to get tied down.
Right. So
that's the problem.
and with Fury has the whole thing with the deal with Queensberry Promotions. I don't know if he's still in that co-promotional deal with Top Rank, and of course Anthony Joshua. He has his own management company, so he works with Matchroom Boxing, but he also has 258 Management. So
258. I was going to say he's got I'll be honest. I got to give Joshua a lot of praise because. Even though he's in the position that he's in he really does try to get the best fights he can, for him and for the fans and stuff. And, I felt sorry for him in the last fight with Dillian White, being a fucking dirtball. But at the same time, people were giving him shit for picking Elenius. He was trying to pick the best fight he could as quick as he could. But, if they could get this tournament going, I mean, it's going to make money. It's going to make a lot of money.
Right.
And who would be in the tournament?
It would be the 4-man, Wilder. It would be Wilder, Joshua, and Fury Usyk. But you got mandatories. That's the problem. That's why what's his name just lost his belt, his WBO. Charlo.
Charlo. Yep.
It is what it is. So, I think it's bullshit.
Yeah, I think it is too. But you also might have the possibility that he might lose the WBC title too.
Yep, I saw that. Adames is been pit. I actually feel bad for Adames only in that. Oh wait, go ahead. I'm sorry. You were talking about the other guy. You're talking about the other Charlo, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about Jamel Charlo. Yeah, the other thing was the middleweight joint. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. I feel bad for him. I think everybody. Look, Charlo's been having a rough go with his wife. I heard they got back together actually, but at the same time, like, it's been long enough, man. Like, if I got to criticize Canelo for getting special treatment, then how the fuck am I going to look the other way with this situation? Like, this is insane.
Yeah, it's
been almost 2 years now.
Yep, 2 years for Jamal, man, and I still haven't seen like anything where he'll get back at it. Hopefully, I could try to get more from it from his coach. But hopefully that's there if he's back on Tuesday with War Week Radio and Joe Herring on that. But I
saw Ronnie talking about that.
Yeah. I got another guest jumping in here to the conversation. Brother Terrell here with his new avatar, man. Terrell, what's happening?
Hey, what's going on with everybody? Love and respect to everyone on the show.
What's up, man?
Hey, just glad to be talking boxing. I'm sure you guys have already delved into the main topic of this weekend, but just one quick thought. It's funny how just one decision by a referee or a fight or whatever can change the immediate scope of a weight class, as we saw yesterday. So I'll get you back.
Yeah, man. Luis Pavone pretty much like affected the whole heavyweight landscape with his immediate decision by ruling that a low blow, man. Like it was like I said. I mean, if you rule it as knockdown, I mean, it's like who knows would Usyk be able to get up? If so, then how would Dubois approach it? But after that, I just thought that it wasn't really the ruling of the low blow that got me. It was that Luis Pavone allowed Oleksandr Usyk to take extra time, whether it was within the 5-minute limit or not. Like Usyk said, he was ready to go. So if he said he's ready to go, then you should go ahead and continue the bout. But he was like, no. Take your time, man. Take your time. You got 5 minutes. You go ahead and you take those full 5 minutes. And I was like, yo, come on, man.
Yeah, the Cotto, I can't remember there was a fight though with Miguel Cotto and the other guy. He tore his ACL during the fight. He kept falling down because he couldn't walk, and the ref was going, "Get up, champ! Walk it off, champ!" Like refs are not. Yes, exactly. You can't. You're not allowed. Refs are not allowed. It's official. Like you can't show. That's showing bias. Pick it up, champ. Walk it off, champ. You can't do that. Like you got to be neutral and you got to be kind of a judge. And it's crazy that it's like the Rolly fight. Well, I thought he was taking damage. Nah, he was fine.
Who tore the ACL against Cotto?
Sergio
Martinez. Like the ref was telling him, go ahead and get up. You're fine. You can make it. You're all right, champ. Walk it off, champ. Like you can't do that. You got to look at it in totality. Like you can't just go, oh, he's okay. That was crazy seeing that shit.
Yeah, you got to be impartial in a bout. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
having something like that happen, in a fight of that magnitude, well, at the time that was for the WBC middleweight title, as Sergio was the WBC champion at that time. So, that was just a crazy, crazy scene in that instance, and it was a crazy scene yesterday, man. For those that I mean, we had that thing for ESPN Plus, so we could see it over and over again, man. Like you definitely be able to see those replays, and some people say like it was a low blow. Some people say that it was on the belt line or something like that. But this is still a controversial topic that will be talked about for the rest of the week. But it's still like a bad break for Daniel Dubois because he came in there as the WBA regular champion or the mandatory for the WBA. So it's one and done.
And even on top of that post fight, right there in the ring, what did we say to him? It's a tough sport, bro. It's a tough sport. You're young.
Yeah. You're young.
It's boxing. It's not ballet. It's boxing. You can dream. You can dream. I was like, what?
That really solidified it for me, Nog. I mean, but it didn't look good when he said that shit. Like, it's like, come on, man. You might never get that close to the titles ever again now.
Yeah.
It's like you can dream. It's not the end. Like it's like Usyk was talking to Dubois like it was not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. You could dream. You could get back. It's boxing.
Next time we'll do it in your hometown now.
No.
Yeah.
You might as well say, poor bastard, what can you do? Not a damn thing.
Yep.
Exactly.
You pretty much like, hey, these are the breaks, my friend. These are the breaks. But for Usyk, man, I mean, he's just gonna move forward, and like we were saying, either it's gonna be a fight against Filip Hrgović, or they work towards getting that fight with Tyson Fury, and with Oleksandr Usyk being there alongside Skill Challenge Promotions, we'll see if that is going to be what it takes in order for that fight between him and Tyson Fury to happen. Moving on.
That Ngannou fight's in October, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so nothing would nothing would even come close until after that. Okay.
Yeah. So if they were gonna even try to do a doubleheader, man, it would probably be February, mid to late February. Hopefully not on the Super Bowl weekend, but mid to late February or something. So we'll see how that goes, man. But also, I mean, we had the fight card that was on ESPN Plus or whatever it is on Tulsa, Oklahoma. But before we get into all that, they had pretty much announced that the WBC World Boxing Council had announced that Shakur Stevenson and Frank Martin should be able to go into negotiations to make that fight for what will be the vacant WBC lightweight title. And it is going to be like I was saying, Shakur Stevenson was named as the mandatory, even though he is currently ranked number 2 in the WBC rankings, and you have Frank Martin that is ranked number 4 in the WBC rankings.
That's a good fight right there.
Number 1, Isaac Cruz was at number 3, but they tried to see about Shakur Stevenson and Lomachenko. That was a no. Shakur Stevenson and Isaac Cruz wasn't going to happen, so we know what will take place with Isaac Cruz.
Yeah.
I was hoping that this wouldn't happen, but it's going to happen.
I heard Isak's trying to get that Gervonta Davis rematch.
Yeah. And this kind of makes all of that line up, and depending on when the Haney versus Prograis fight happens. If those belts at 135 all get relinquished, then they will elevate Tank Davis to full champion as a WBA, and that would just
I heard that.
That would just leave Isaac Cruz to be there as the highest ranked contender out there for Tank, So
isn't Haney technically, if he, I heard he's going to be champion in recess for the WBC at lightweight if he fights Prograis.
Prograis. Yeah, but
that don't even make any sense though, because he's not going to come back down to lightweight.
Yeah, he isn't going to come back down to lightweight.
He's done, man.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a good move for him,
Well, one thing about the prospect of a Frank Martin and Shakur fight, despite the fact that with their respective promotional bodies, it's a business move to make this fight happen. Given like I said, with Devin likely going to stay at 140 if he wins against Prograis, it doesn't make sense for him to come back down. And a fight between Martin and Shakur is a business move that puts you into a better commanding position at 135. So basically, I really, truly hope this fight happens. Like I told Jay earlier, it would make for a great, outstanding year of boxing. And we get this around November, December, particularly in the fact that Shakur and Martin, they last fought, 2 months ago, something like that? So they got a good break between their fights. They can get some rest in and jump back into a camp and get some proper promotion held up for a potential fight between those two. So
I'm pumped for that fight. That's a hell of a fight.
Definitely.
Yeah. But I mean, that kind of sorts out what's going down at the 135 and 140 pound divisions, man. But you also had what is it? I thought Zepeda would have been available for at least one of these fights that could be for what would have been a vacant belt, but he's already locked into a fight against Macedo Gessa that's coming up in a few weeks. So
I saw that.
He didn't be in the mix for that. So I was like, and that leaves guys like Edwin De Los Santos, looking for a bout. Jermaine Ortiz out there looking for a bout, So I'm like,
Jermaine Ortiz, didn't he miss weight in his last fight?
Yeah, I think he did.
Okay.
He was
I'm not hating on him. I just didn't remember if that's what happened because they didn't put it in the paper or anything.
He was floating around there at least a little bit. Well, not quite. Actually, he had his fight against Vasyl Lomachenko, but now he's slated to fight Antonio Moran on September 15th. And that's part of that. Luis Alberto Lopez, Joet Gonzalez card. So he's still there at lightweight on that. So we got to see where he's gonna be at around that point.
Do you guys have any thoughts on why Lomachenko didn't take the Shakur fight?
I read, I don't want to sound like I'm working for Top Rank or anything, but I heard that he's not taking it because he's getting a stadium fight with George Kambosos in Australia, is what I heard.
Yeah, I mean, some people were talking about that. I'm
not saying it don't look like a duck, though, just to be sure.
What is it? Gustavo Lemos, right?
Yeah.
Was that he was a little bit north of 135 or whatever it was, maybe. So him kind of being around that thing for the IBF was kind of out of there. And the thing was, what Kambosos had his fight, that was an IBF eliminator, and it looked like that was a final eliminator there against Maxie Hughes. So George Kambosos is the IBF mandatory. So you have the thing with Devin Haney giving up all of those belts. It would be George Kambosos versus the next highest ranked contender out there. So
that's what he said when Lomachenko lost. He said he was happy because it would make him, if he wins the Maxie Hughes fight, which I thought, I didn't think he won that fight at all, but, it is what it is. Money talks and bullshit walks. You know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, Kambosos got, he got the benefit with that decision. And so he's there as the top ranked contender for the IBF. And if they are able to lock down the fight with Vasyl Lomachenko over in Australia, then that's another fight for him in Australia, man. And that's going to be another top-ranked bout that they're going to have. That'll be for, I guess the IBF lightweight title. So
Yeah.
you'd have Shakur Stevenson versus Frank Martin. You would have, Vasyl Lomachenko there versus George Kambosos. You would have Tank Davis versus Isaac Cruz, and then that leaves the WBO, which, that like I don't know how they would be able to sort that out, because you had Shakur there, you got Lomachenko, Isaac Cruz, what was it, Frank Martin up there. So there was that, man. That's the whole situation with the lightweight division as of this point. But here, moving on, you had the top ranked card that was in Tulsa that was headlined by Jared Anderson getting this stoppage victory over Andriy Rudenko, coming off of his win over Charles Martin in July. He was able to get a fifth round stoppage victory. Showed a little bit more in that bout against Rudenko here in this particular instance, outside of the fight against Charles Martin that he had in July 1st. And, I thought that was very impressive for him to get that win. He said that, a number of people criticized him for his performance against Charles Martin. But remember, Charles Martin came in as a replacement opponent. A guy with, a lot more experience. Of course, he was a former IBF heavyweight champion. And, he came in replacement of Zon Kosabuski, who was part of the fight card last night. And we saw what Zon Kosabuski did against, oh my gosh, that was just wild there, man.
That was crazy.
Yeah, that was.
I actually appreciate the ref in that fight, in the Anderson fight. He wasn't pulling no punches.
Yeah, he was playing around with that, because
he didn't want no nonsense. He goes, "Hey, quit playing around!" Like, he took a point from him real quick, and the whole fight changed.
Yep. But that kind of like opened it up for Jared Anderson to do his work, because like he didn't do what was happening there in this Zon Kosabuski Ifya Jogbe fight, where Kosabuski ended up getting disqualified there for all of the low blows. But with Jared Anderson, man, he gets this win, this TKO win, and he looks like he wants to, get right back in the ring. Maybe it's going to be in that fight card in November, which, they're saying it might be Shakur Stevenson versus Frank Martin in Las Vegas around that November, mid-November or something like that. I'm kind of hoping it's not, because if it is, it's going to be there during the Formula One weekend in Las Vegas. And that, man,
yeah, that's dumb.
That, like, to me, you're just gonna have like what's gonna happen. I guess a layover amount of fans that'll be out there for Formula One. You ain't really gonna have that many boxing fans out there, because them hotel prices are gonna be absolutely stupid. Tip man is in the building on the chat. What's going on with you, Tip man? Shout out to you, man. But yeah, man, like they pretty much was prepared for this whole thing for the Formula One, and it's pretty much like a few steps away for them to get that done. Like, shoot, they already had like construction started up for that, like back in February or something. You know what I'm saying? They were like closing roads and everything like that. Like, and I'm gonna go back there next month. So I'd like to see like how they have that area done by now, because they're putting that all around the major roads, like Las Vegas Boulevard is gonna be out, closed, or what is it, like the Flamingo area or whatnot, like that. Like, they gonna be closing up all those roads. Like, it's gonna be nuts. You know what I'm saying? So I like to see how they go.
I was gonna say that's what Haney was yelling, was upset with Prograis about, because he wants to have their fight on the same night that Fury and Ngannou's fighting, and he's like, "Look, it's not me ducking, dude. Like, we got to be strategic about this. We want to make more money, and you can't be doing, like, you got to plan things out a little bit better."
Yeah. Them trying to have that fight around, like that November weekend, man. Like,
that's crazy.
But the problem is, like, I think the top ranked event in November, they're trying to have it on that Thursday or something, Thursday or Friday, not on the Saturday. So if they're trying to have Stevenson Martin on like a Thursday or Friday, like I don't know, man. That wouldn't be a good look.
I don't know why they're doing that shit.
That but hey, if they, like I said, I mean they got until whatchamacallit to what is it, September 9th before it would go over to a purse bid. So we gotta see like how that's gonna work out, if they're going to, work out a deal, or if they're going to go to purse bid on that. But for me, I would like to see like what's going to happen with that, because you got Frank Martin, of course, is coached by Coach Derek James, and are they going to go forward with that fight and have Frank Martin fight on November, and then see if Errol Spence Jr. would go forward with the rematch against Terrence Crawford? And if they do that, and I've said this before, if they're going to do that, it's going to be planned for December. And they got a couple of dates in December that are locked down, one at the beginning of December and one at the end of December. So are you going to have, both of these guys in camp, prepared for their bouts, just like, what happened here earlier? I wouldn't really be all too, keen on that. What I'm saying? Because I just feel like that's a similar situation to what Eddie Reynoso had with last year, when he had, Oscar Valdez, and he had, Canelo Alvarez pretty much like fighting around the same, what was it, within a week of each other or something like that.
Yeah, it was real close.
Yeah, it was a week of each other. So you had Valdez versus Stevenson happening in Vegas, and then the next week you had, Canelo versus Bivol. So and that didn't work out well for Eddie Reynoso at all. And I just felt like with Derek James, that didn't quite work out all too well with the thing with Frank Martin. He did end up winning that bout, but you see what happened with Errol Spence. And Errol Spence, it had like multiple factors with that. But I just feel like in a fight of that magnitude, you can't necessarily have your main trainer being working.
Can't be having spread out like that. Yeah.
Like you had him working with, Frank Martin, Anthony Joshua, Ryan Garcia being in there in the mix. Like you can't have that when your guy that has the most important fight of his career, coming up, and you're pretty much split your time out with other fighters that have, fights when they need a lot of attention. So, here in this particular instance, if they're working on having this fight with Frank Martin and Shakur Stevenson take place in November, if you're going to have Errol Spence try to invoke that rematch clause when it looks like he's trying to go forward and doing that, you want to have that, take place later on, like say January or something like that. Like don't have it in December or something. So we'll see how that goes, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're exactly right, though. Derek James did an interview saying it didn't affect him and all this stuff, but you've got to think at some point when you're spread out so close, when you got that many big important fights spread out so close together like that, it's got to do something to you, like pull your attention away a little bit from focus, right?
Yep.
I think it is. I mean, especially I noticed in the Joshua fight too, like he looked like he was screaming a lot. He's like he was telling him, just wait, throw the shot, time the shot, so I don't know. I mean, I get it though. He's a busy man. He got coach of the year a year ago. He's probably trying to just make things work the best he can.
And can you think of any other trainer that's had this many top level fights, all spaced within
exactly?
Nobody like Freddie Roach. Nope, not at all.
Nope.
And like I said, as honestly, you would think the quality must go down at some point from fighter to fighter. I hope not, but just would that mean that much stress and pressure on a national, a world platform in that regard for your fighter?
Yeah. And I mean, and I ain't even include, of course, what's going to happen up on September 30th, Jermell Charlo, man. So that it looked like from early July until September 30th, you're going to have Frank Martin, Errol Spence, Anthony Joshua, and Jermell Charlo all involved in, pretty much like high level fights, or at least main events there. So it's like you're not really giving yourself much of a break, like in comparison. Like I mean, and I might bring this up with Coach Roddy Shields too. Like he has multiple fighters, on his stable. He has Philip Hergovich. He has Jamal Charlo. He has David Morrell Jr. He has like a number of other fighters there that he works with over in Houston. So it's like you got 1 week here, 1 week there, and in some cases, like you'll see, over in these gyms that he'll have a number of fighters there, working all at the same time. But he's, working with, he's watching what some of these guys are doing, or he's, seeing what's going on with, his other folks there that are assisting them out there. So, it gets very difficult at times when you take on a number of these fighters that want to, be part of your stable. So once you have like more than 5 or 6 people, like you're dealing with all of these guys at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
And even just there, this guy doesn't have a fight right now. Ryan Garcia, where does he fit in? Where does he fit in?
Exactly.
He's sitting back watching.
Well, I heard Rolly wants the Garcia fight, but he has O'Hara Davies as the Mando. But according to the WBA, what's his name? Rolly just sent in proof that he's injured right now. I'm sorry, they're waiting. I'm sorry, they're waiting on proof.
Yeah.
If I was Rolly, I would pay O'Hara to step aside because I mean, even look, man, you gotta think long term. Rolly ain't good enough to beat, in my opinion. I don't think he beats anybody, and I think he was losing to Barroso until that damn fight got stopped. But he needs to just pay the step aside and get the Ryan Garcia bag while he can. But we're gonna see though.
Yeah, I mean, for me, man, I'm like, if you got like O'Hara Davies, and I kind of like said this multiple times, if they're considering having a fight between Rolly Romero and Ryan Garcia, I would go ahead and step aside because you have this fight with Rolly Romero right now. You're not gonna get as much money as you would get if you were able to just wait on the winner of Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Romero. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So go ahead, take the step aside money, and then you would get even more money stepping in to fight the winner of that fight instead of just going up against Rolly Romero right now. So
well, here's the other thing you got to think about too. Guess who just signed O'Hara Davies?
What was it? Golden Boy?
Golden Boy.
Yeah.
And guess who just left Golden Boy? You see what I mean? Like, it's if he was still with Oscar, I think legally he's still with Oscar, but they're having like a court battle. Yeah. But I'm telling you, Oscar would be smart enough to be like, listen, Davies, how about this? Take the step aside money and you get a crack at the winner of them two. And the fight makes way more money that way. But I just think O'Hara, he's one of those guys who's been, told no for so long that he
bounced around a good little bit, man.
Yeah. So now he's like, after the Taylor fight, he lost his spot. He's kind of like, screw it. Like, I don't care. I want to fight. But we'll see, Yeah,
we'll see what happens with that. And like you said, if Rolly did turn in his paperwork to the WBA, he will see what the WBA rules on that, man. But we'll see how that goes. But for me, that's mainly what I have here. I mean, I know someone was talking about a heavyweight bout with the rematch between Zhang and Joe Joyce. Man, I got Zhang winning that one again, man. Like,
I agree. But you know what, though? Everybody's saying this time Joe Joyce is going to get him, but go ahead. I heard somebody jumping in. Go ahead, academic.
I think for me, as long as Joe Joyce can't move his head and him continuously get caught with the right jabs, I mean, not even with the right jabs, with the lead left hand,
yep,
he's going to have a definite problem.
Just walking right into it. Like, I'm not saying, look, man, I think it's impressive when a man can just, his chin is his best defense. I think it's impressive, but at the same time, it's not conducive to longevity, especially someone on Joe Joyce who's, almost 40. I don't think that, and that's what the big thing is. People underestimate Zhang too. He's a good boxer.
He's a good boxer. Yep.
Yeah, he's not just some giant. Somebody tried to tell me that he was the same as he reminded him a lot, not of the size, but the way he boxed. He reminded him of Valuev, and I just started laughing. I'm like, he's a way better boxer than Valuev.
Much better boxer than him, man. Come on.
That's insane. He's good. He's got good skill. He followed the game plan. Like, he saw that opening all day long and just lined up that left hand and went to town. Like, who would have thought to, you got to have confidence to be able to throw, especially someone who's got a chin as good as Joe Joyce. So.
Yeah, in that Valuev thing. A boxing academic calls Joe Joyce like slugfist. If Joe Joyce is slugfist, imagine what Valuev is, man. Like, come on.
Yep.
Like, yeah, that's
Joe. To me, Valuev looked like he was always fighting in slow motion. He just he got placed in the right fights at the right time, against pretty weak champion in John Ruiz, and
great match.
The second he fought somebody decent, we saw what happened.
Yeah, it was great matchmaking for whoever was managing Valuev at the time. So I mean, that was good on their part.
He was Larry Holmes, man. He was one fight away from that Rocky Marciano record. He was right there, 49.
Yeah,
and just as a bit of comedy, who won between Valuev and what's my name, David Haye? Who won that fight?
Definitely David Haye. He had Valuev on skates multiple times.
Yeah. Ran around. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing, man. He was floating around, and then he lost to Valuev lost to Chagayev.
Chagayev,
yep.
And absolutely one of the biggest top 5 robberies of all time, Evander Holyfield versus Valuev. There was no way in hell. I've never been like that. Was just some blatant rob. That was. You want to talk about a robbery, man? Go watch that fight. Evander Holyfield turned the clock back. He was about to be a 4-time heavyweight or 3-time, I can't remember. 4-time. He was a freaking hair away from winning. He should have won that fight. He embarrassed Valuev, but crooked ass judges, man.
Yep, that was definitely a bad break to say the least. But there's one thing that kind of like I guess one of those. Actually, that's one of the fights that, I haven't really heard much for people saying that that's like one of the biggest robberies out there in boxing. But if, folks go back and see that, then, that would kind of like be there around that range. But, with that being said, this about almost 9 p.m. Eastern time, bring the, close
I'll let everybody.
A particular version of the Boxing Source podcast. Thanks to, Slide Terrell, the Boxing Academic, for joining in on this conversation. Everybody that was here on the live chat, we're gonna get right back into it. Hopefully on next Sunday around Labor Day weekend, so we'll be able to chop it up a little bit more. Once again, for those that are supporting, hit the like button. If you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button here for more boxing content. I got like a interview that I got to upload from Instagram too, so got to get to work on that. But until next time, folks, like I say, at the end of every show, folks, support the boxers, hit, not get hit. Not to say the trade. On that note, folks, have a good evening, everybody.
Definitely.